1 second. There we go. So Dean Rose is hoping to join us late. He had a Board of Education event that he had to do, so he is intending to do, and all the candidates really did intend to be here tonight, but some had serious family health things and other reasons why they couldn't be here. So we want to give thanks to all of you who are here, all the parents, the taxpayers, the candidates especially, and we're a group of parents, taxpayers, education professionals that are concerned about our kids' future. That's who Better Maryland Schools is. There's our beliefs. You see it on our t-shirts here, and we're really interested in children getting a world-class education, parents being able to raise their children according to their own beliefs. We think teachers deserve better work environments and better pay, and taxpayers deserve sensible spending. So to kind of set the stage for tonight, in any society, there are always three competing visions for how you arrange things. So this actually is directly relevant to the Board of Education race, believe it or not. Give me a minute to get there. But there's a vision that's a progressive vision where the central moral value is justice. So these are folks that are concerned about society having some biases and prejudices, and the solution from this perspective is to promote equity and social justice and try to correct the wrongs that have happened in society using government means. There's the classical liberal approach, which is focused on liberty or individual freedom, and they believe the role of schools is mostly focused on knowledge and open inquiry. And then we have the community or traditional, or what some will call social cohesion approach, which is about transmitting cultural and civic values. And we see this in all of our debates in every political sphere, including the Board of Education. What's interesting about this is most countries have only emphasized two of these traditions. So for example, the UK and Japan combine liberty and social cohesion. The Nordic countries and Germany have justice and cohesion, and France and Canada focus on liberty and justice. But what's interesting about our country and our tradition is that many historians believe that America is unique because we have always historically emphasized all three. These traditions do compete with each other, but historically these traditions were kept in balance. Our Constitution guaranteed liberty, civil rights movements promoted justice, and this little thing called federalism, which kept state, local, and federal governments separate, promoted strong local communities and local cohesion. Many historians have observed that the equilibrium among these traditions is weakening, especially in the last 10 years. The reason, many think, is the nationalization of political debates combined with less civic participation and more social media participation. We see this playing out at increasingly, unfortunately, uncivil school board meetings, with some citizens advocating for one tradition's dominance at the expense of the others. Our belief is that good education brings all these traditions into balance and promotes something uniquely American. We are encouraging candidates to consider deeply that the central task of your campaign is the restoration of this balance. We thank you for running, and thank you for considering this. So now on to our endorsement process. What we're looking for are three things: alignment with our positions, statesmanship, and the ability to campaign effectively. So we consider all of those things. If you agree with us, but you're not, running an effective campaign, or you're not acting in a statesmanship way, all those things get weighed in our evaluation process. Many of you, as you came in, probably picked out our flyer where we actually give you the public criteria for evaluation. If you didn't, I think Vincent has some copies there in the back by the camera, and he can give, if anyone wants to raise their hand if they didn't get that, please do, and we'll make sure you get a copy of our evaluation criteria. All right, and the other thing we'll say is we make independent expenditures, so we do not partner up with candidates. We do everything independently. And after we do our endorsements, we don't work with the candidates. We have our own group of volunteers, our own people, our own donors, etc., that will help Better Maryland Schools push forward the candidates that we're interested in supporting. I'll just start with this quote. It's a great quote. We think that statesmanship there's a difference between being a politician and a statesman. And a politician is thinking of the next election. A statesman thinks of the next generation. And we're really encouraging all candidates in this race to think of the next generation as you're contemplating your answers and your approach to how you're going to hopefully work on the Board of Education if you get elected. We have asked all candidates to consider signing an ethical endorsement pledge. This is publicly available on our website. All of our information is publicly available on our website. And this pledge says that you promise not to accept financial or political support from unions or companies that contract with FCPS. So all the candidates have, well, many of the candidates have submitted their answers to our candidate questionnaire. And so we will be posting those after this form at some point. I don't know exactly when yet, but we will be posting those very soon. And so the idea here is whether you agree with Better Maryland Schools views or not, we hope to provide a tool to the community to be able to see what the candidates' views are, and you can decide for yourself who you want to support. All right, so the last thing we want to talk about is the duty of a Board of Education is stewardship. You know, protecting institutional credibility, not in the sense of putting on a good face when things are going wrong, but actually the opposite, about being realistic about where the system is and coming up with practical solutions that actually build that public trust and work in an environment of fiscal sustainability. So one of the central questions that you can think about as candidates is we're really interested in schools teaching shared civic norms, but also protecting families from compelled moral formation. So allowing parents the rights to raise their kids as they wish to. So a question you can ask yourself is what minimal moral commitments allow us to educate together without coercive assimilation? In the end, we're not just electing a school board, we're choosing a tone. We don't drift into excellence, we choose it. And to help you as voters think about who you would want to go for, who you want to vote for, I'm going to introduce Erin Martirano, who's going to start asking the candidates some questions and go over the ground rules for the forum. So thank you all very much, and I give it over to Erin.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, candidates, for being here. The candidates, before we began, each drew a number, and that just determined where they are sitting in order. And we're just going to be going down the line. So the person who drew number 1 is going to answer first for question 1, so on and so forth. We only have 5 questions, so not everyone is going to get to go first, unfortunately. But in the effort of fairness, that's why everything was randomly drawn. Each candidate is going to have 90 seconds for their response. We will be timing them and indicating when their time is up. Allison in the green shirt in the front row will be your indication that you need to say thank you and let the next person speak. So, without further ado, who, are we sitting in order? Do we have number 1 at the number 1 spot?
There's no one in 1, there's someone in number 2.
2, okay, all right.
Yeah, if you hit enter, the rules will pop up there as the next slide.
Oh, wow, all right. Oh, there we go. Questions focus on 3 areas. I didn't realize I had a slide. Firstly, academics, then budget, and parental rights. Here we go. I just went through this because I didn't realize there was a slide, but I'll go through it again. There's 5 questions. Candidates were all provided copies of the questions 2 days ago and were able to submit their responses. 90 seconds for their answers. We're going in order, which was determined randomly, and no one will go first twice. Once we've gotten through all 5 of our questions, then we have a 2-minute closing statement from each candidate. So, number 2 will go in the number 1 spot. So number 2 will be our first answer for this question. For some background, the FCPS results on the MCAP are published every year, and currently we have a 69% fail rate for algebra, 54% for grade 5 math, 57% failure rate for grade 5 science, and 33% fail rate for grade 10 English. Number 2, is FCPS doing well academically? What are your plans for academics?
She needs a microphone.
Thank you. All right. There are many outstanding teachers and dedicated staff that work for Frederick County Public Schools, and Frederick schools do perform higher than many other Maryland schools. But over the past decade, we've seen a steady decline in academic performance. In 2024, 68.2% of Frederick County high school graduates couldn't pass their college and career readiness tests. Yet teachers were forced to pass these students anyways. We need accountability at all levels of FCPS. The FCPS budget will be over $1 billion this year. which is more than $19,000 per student. Would you pay $19,000 to send your child to school that fails 7 out of 10 children? If elected, I will put academics at the forefront of every decision. First, we must implement a strong academic and classical curriculum that prioritizes reading, writing, and math while moving away from divisive ideological curriculum. Second, I support expanding school choice and career and technology programs, so families have options and schools are encouraged to better serve students. Third, we need to restore structured learning environments, real books, pencils and paper, recess, homework, and clear expectations in the classroom. My goal is simple: every child in Frederick County deserves a school focused on strong academics and critical thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Next up, we have Maria.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for the opportunity to be part of this forum. So FCPS has a lot to be proud of. We have dedicated educators, many strong schools, and a great many students who are doing well. But at the same time, the numbers that we see in the slide tell us that we can do better. We can be doing better. Behind these numbers, there are some kids that need support so that they can achieve their goals in life and achieve their potential. So my approach would be to help FCPS build on what is already working, right? When we look at the average, there are some schools that are doing better than others. How can we bring all of the schools into doing great versus, again, some doing better than others? I also think that consistency matters. Schools do best when educators have clear priorities, manageable workloads, and the support to stay focused on what helps students learn. Strong academic results do not come from constantly changing direction. They come from doing fundamentals well and doing them consistently. Finally, very importantly, I believe families are a key part of the academic equation. Families are key partners for students to succeed. So one of my priorities will be to facilitate families to navigate the system and be engaged in their children's education. Given my background in research, implementation, and teaching at the college level, I think I have the skills to bring our schools to world-class level. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Next up, we have Sam.
You asked whether or not we are doing well. Whether we're doing poorly or whether we're doing well. Whether we are doing the best in the entire country. The answer, what we should do, is strive to do even better. The next year, we should strive to do better than what we are doing this year. Regarding what my plans are, I spent an entire career, now retired, in nuclear engineering. I saw the nuclear field of the United States lead the world to the point where it trails the world. And I know what it takes. I've been exposed to the most complicated, and vast industry, and I know what it takes to lead in technology. And I want to make sure that regarding engineering and technology, that children are exposed to it. I got exposed at the college level and got inspired. No reason why that can't happen at the high school level.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jeff.
Good evening, and thanks Better Maryland Schools for having us tonight. People ask a simple question: is FCPS doing well academically? The honest answer is we have great teachers and we have bright students, but the results are not consistent enough. We've seen that tonight. In some classrooms, students are thriving, and others, too many children are falling behind in basics: reading, writing, and math. Parents don't judge a school system by its best classrooms. They judge it by whether their child is learning and keeping up. My focus is simple: results, not rhetoric. First, replicate success, as I spoke about at the BOE meeting last month. Find those little pearls within the Frederick County Public School System, recognize them, and say, let's recreate this elsewhere within the system. Secondly, return to the fundamentals: reading, writing, math, science, and history. If students master those, opportunity follows. Just the facts and no agendas. Third, use proven instructional methods that help students actually learn and retain knowledge. And finally, be transparent about results. No secrets, so parents know clearly whether the system is improving. Frederick County has everything it needs to be one of the best school systems in Maryland, The goal should be simple and clear, every student in every school achieving academic excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now we have Tyler.
Good evening. I'll echo kind of the same sentiments as everybody in saying that we clearly do have very dedicated teachers here in Frederick County. We have strong schools, but we have to be honest about these results. When there are a large number of students that are struggling in math and science, and as we talked about, there are 70% of students failing algebra proficiency according to the Maryland State Report Card, and a third of students that are failing English assessments, that tells us that we have work to do. My approach starts with getting back to the fundamentals. The research is very clear that students succeed when they master strong fundamentals in reading, writing, math, science, and social studies early in their education. This means using scientifically backed reading instruction, emphasizing phonics and early literacy intervention, and ensuring students master the core math skills before they move on to advanced concepts or even advanced grades. We also need to support teachers by simplifying the number of competing initiatives that are placed on them. Teachers should have the freedom and time to focus on instruction instead of constantly adapting to new programs or administrative mandates. And finally, I believe civic education and chronological history as the basis of instruction is essential. Students should understand our nation's history, our institutions, and their responsibilities as citizens. If we focus on fundamentals, support teachers, and maintain high expectations for students, Frederick County can absolutely achieve the academic excellence that our families deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Now we have Shelley.
Hi. So to answer the first question, are we doing well academically? No, I don't think so. My parents would be pretty upset if this was my report card. What would I do? I would significantly reduce screen time in schools, bring back books, pencils, and paper. Gen Z is the first modern generation to be less cognitively capable than their parents, despite more years in school. Attention, memory, literacy, numeracy, executive function, and even general IQ is declining. I believe, and the research is backing this up, that the culprit is the introduction of screens and digital tools in classrooms. According to Dr. Jared Cooney-Hovra, over 80 countries, once tech-flooded classrooms, performance dropped sharply. The US NAEP data mirrors this conclusion. When states adopted one-to-one devices, students' scores plateaued and then fell. The biological reality is that humans evolved to learn deeply from other humans and not screens. The second thing I would do, for math in particular, I believe too many concepts are taught in 1 year. I think math topics should be taught to mastery, much like countries who excel in mathematics, like Singapore. They cover fewer topics per year to mastery instead of cycling through many concepts, hoping that students will grasp just a few. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. And finally, we have Chloe.
So I believe FCPS is doing okay academically because that is what the data has consistently shown. The statistics you see up on the slideshow are cherry-picked to make it look like our students are performing poorly when, in fact, our county ranks 4th in the state for overall MCAP scores when it comes to math and 5th in English language arts. Our test scores have also been getting progressively higher in the last few years. And it seems to me that this is indicative of the notion that our students want to learn, our teachers know how to do their jobs, and they want to teach students. However, I would be remiss if I left the conversation here and didn't address the fact that standardized tests simply don't work for a significant number of our students. And I'm not the only one who's saying that. The official position of the National Education Association, which is the largest teachers union in the country, is that standardized state testing is not a very accurate measure of proficiency, and likely gives failing grades to a number of students who otherwise know the material perfectly. People are unique, not all kids learn the same way.
Thank you, Chloe. Moving on to our next question. FCPS policy aims to champion professional and student excellence. The average teacher's SAT score is currently estimated by multiple sources to be around the 50th percentile. And FCPS does not currently track the SAT or other academic results, selectivity of colleges attended, of the teachers it hires. FCPS reported that it recruited 5 staff members from historically black colleges and universities from January of 2022 to October of 2024. The question is, should FCPS improve teacher quality and/or diversity? If so, what are your plans? And this time we will be beginning with Maria.
FCPS should continue working to strengthen both teacher quality and workforce diversity. Diversity, of course, is critical because it's important for students and the student body, and diverse student body that we have to feel reflected in the teachers. In fact, 21% of our students are Latinos. And I don't know what the statistic is for Latino teachers, but it's probably less than what we have for African American teachers. So I want to approach this question in a practical way. First, as noted, recruitment matters. FCPS should continue building strong pipelines into teaching through partnerships with colleges, grow your own pathways, support for paraprofessionals who want to become certified teachers, and stronger recruitment of bilingual educators. Those are the kinds of strategies that help districts attract talent and build a stronger future workforce. Second, retention matters just as much. A district can recruit strong people, but if they feel overwhelmed and unsupported, they will leave. That means mentoring for newer teachers is essential, and a culture where teachers feel respected and supported is also very important. Third, I think we should keep the focus on excellence. Families want to know that every classroom has a capable, prepared teacher who can help students succeed. My goal would be to help FCPS to be the kind of district with excellent educators are teaching all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And now Sam.
Well, I think it's very difficult to measure teacher quality by their SAT scores. It's well known. Albert Einstein was a late bloomer. He didn't even get a teaching assistantship after he got his PhD. Yesterday, I was at a meeting, city council meeting, and people were getting an award for robotics. The teacher looked like he was an ex-Harley Davidson driver, but he inspired these students to consistently win, and those students will probably be the technology leaders of tomorrow. It's difficult to measure teacher quality, but I think it has to do, probably a cliche, with inspiration and perspiration. Unless there's some sort of bias or prejudice involved, I would not be overly concerned with diversity. I mean, if it wasn't a single person of a certain race in the entire system, I'd be concerned with that. But basically, I think teachers should be hired based on merit entirely.
Thank you very much. Now, Jeff.
So when parents talk about schools, they almost never start with bureaucracy or strategy plans. They start with one question: is my child getting a great teacher? Do they have a great teacher? Let's set the standard that should guide Frederick County Public Schools with that. From my perspective, teacher quality has to be the top priority. Research consistently shows the most important factor in schools affecting student learning is the effectiveness of the teacher in the classroom and not those in the administration building. So my plan focuses on 3 practical steps. First, raise the bar in hiring. Let's get Frederick County aggressively recruiting strong subject matter experts and talented instructors, especially in areas where shortages hurt students the most, like math, science, and special education. Second, support the teachers so they succeed. New teachers need strong mentoring, and all teachers deserve professional development that actually improves classroom instruction, not just compliance training. And third, retain excellence. When we find outstanding teachers, as we talked about in our previous questions, I talked about, we should recognize them, support them, and make Frederick County the kind of district where great educators want to stay. Now, on diversity, Frederick County is a growing and diverse community, and it's positive when our teaching workforce reflects the community we serve. But as mentioned, we need to be reminded that parents care about outcomes, reading, math, and whether their child is learning. So the principle is hire the best teachers, support them well, and keep the great ones. Because when the focus stays on teacher quality and student results, every child in Frederick County benefits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have Tyler.
All right, so I think that every parent wants great teachers in their child's classroom, right? The best way to improve that outcome is to recruit, retain excellent teachers who are passionate about their subject and committed to success. I wrote a lengthy letter to the board when I resigned, and you're all welcome to come hear about it tomorrow night at our Slate kickoff event. But between pay issues, classroom discipline concerns, administrative support, peer collaborations, class sizes, additional instructional aids, continued education incentives, the list goes on and on. There are clear areas of improvement that will make FCPS a more appealing place to work. Teacher quality starts with supporting teachers. Frederick County already attracts many talented educators, but we can improve on retention by giving teachers what they constantly ask for. More planning time, less administrative burden, strong discipline in the classrooms, and leadership that trusts their professional judgment. I believe that we should recruit broadly and welcome talented educators from a wide range of backgrounds and institutions. But hiring should always prioritize merit, subject mastery, and a commitment to students. We should seek out a diversity of thought and practice, and that should be our focus. Teachers want to work in schools where they feel respected, supported, and able to teach effectively. When we create that kind of a professional environment, we naturally will attract teachers to keep them here instead of losing them to neighboring school districts. Our goal should be very simple. Every student deserves a knowledgeable, capable teacher who loves what they do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have Shelley.
Hello. So I said, I believe that if we offer more competitive pay, benefits, and working environments where teachers feel supported and appreciated, we can attract and retain higher quality teachers and hold them to higher standards. I do not believe that gender or race plays into the ability to teach well. In my educational career, I've had excellent teachers of a variety of races and both genders and was able to learn from them equally well. Research backs this claim.
Thank you very much. Now we have Chloe.
FCPS must improve diversity when it comes to hiring teachers. A survey given to students and staff by the county in 2023 shows that 85% of teachers are white, a number significantly higher than 50% of students that are white. We desperately need more equitable hiring practices, as minorities are put in a situation where they're much less likely to be able to get hired than cishet white teachers are. DEI is not about replacing everyone with underqualified staff. It's about leveling the playing field. When you're at a disadvantage simply due to an immutable characteristic of yours that you didn't choose, it's simply unacceptable that we have entire groups here dedicated to oppressing minorities even more. Something needs to change, and I will do everything in my power to make things better.
Thank you very much. Now we have Dean.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this question. Great teachers are the single most important in-school factor in our students' success. So the quality of our educators absolutely matters. The good news is that Frederick County attracts many outstanding teachers. And we have strong evaluation systems, mentoring programs, and professional development that helps teachers continue improving throughout their careers. All districts nationwide are facing a teacher shortage. That means our focus has to be on both recruitment and retention. The great news is the last 3 years we have corrected the outflow of teachers, and instead we are bringing teachers in from adjoining counties and adjoining states. My priorities are straightforward. First, continue raising the professionalism of the teaching profession by supporting competitive salaries and strong working conditions so that we can attract talented people to the classroom. Second, strengthen teacher preparation partnerships with colleges and universities so new educators enter the classroom ready to succeed. And third, recruit broadly so that we're drawing from the widest possible pool of talented educators. And when we do that, students benefit from having great teachers who bring experiences and perspective into the classroom. At the end of the day, the goal is simple. Every student deserves an excellent teacher in every classroom.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have Heather.
Frederick County Public Schools should always strive to improve teacher quality. Our students deserve highly skilled educators who can challenge them academically and inspire a love of learning. While diversity among teachers can bring different perspectives, the primary focus must always be on excellence in the classroom and the ability to teach core subjects effectively. If elected, my plan is to prioritize teacher quality. That means supporting professional development and strengthen instruction in reading, writing, and math, ensuring every teacher is equipped to help students succeed. It also means holding schools accountable for academic results, so we know every student is progressing. We can encourage diversity, but only in ways that support stronger academics. not ideological agendas. Recruitment and retention efforts should focus on attracting educators who are committed to high academic standards, structured learning environments, and respect for parental rights. Additionally, I will advocate for mentoring programs and targeted support for teachers, ensuring they thrive in the classroom from day one. Teacher assistants are also critical to the success of our classrooms, and I will work to ensure teachers have the support they need. I will stand behind our teachers, ensuring they feel valued and supported, and I will encourage parents and grandparents to volunteer in our classrooms to help our students grow. Our goal is simple. Every student deserves teachers who are prepared, effective, and focused on helping them achieve their full potential.
Thank you very much. For our next question, we are talking about the budget. FCPS's budget has increased faster than enrollment and inflation for decades. The blueprint requires teachers to work 60% of the day in the classroom instead of 80% of the day. Nationally, FCPS ranks number 6 in starting salaries and number 7 in average salaries. Is FCPS underfunded? Are teachers underpaid? What are your views on the budget, blueprint, and planning time? And this time we'll begin with Sam.
I don't think the school system is underfunded. I think that over the years and over the decades, we've had more and more administrators per student, and I think that it's way overweight. All politicians want more and more, and I think all that does is just foster greater inefficiency. It's easy to spend greater amounts of money when it doesn't come out of your own pocket. It takes high moral and ethical standards to be a good steward of public funds. As far as teachers being paid, I think the best teachers are worth their price in gold. The best teachers are underpaid. The worst teachers are probably overpaid. As far as the blueprint, that you mentioned, I have to Google that, find out some of the details, and that's actually a pretty vast program. There's a lot of different parts to it, and I think it actually is a good program. You picked out a certain aspect of it, which is the amount of time, hours during the day that teachers are supposed to work. It does seem kind of low. I would be perfectly fine with some compromise position in that, and to evaluate it after a year to see how that worked out, that it improved things, not improved things. 60% sounds low, 80% might be a bit high, maybe cut the difference in half. And then see how it works, and then reevaluate after a year or so.
Thank you very much. Now we have Jeff.
No worries, thanks, Sam. So there's no question that education is expensive, and I believe teachers deserve respect, support, and fair compensation. But the honest question for Frederick County taxpayers is not simply how much we spend, it's whether the money is being spent wisely and producing results for students. Frederick County Public Schools now operates with a budget well over $1 billion. That's a significant investment by our community, yet many parents still feel that their voices are being ignored. Teachers say they are overwhelmed, and we continue to see academic gaps, as we pointed out tonight, that haven't closed. So the problem isn't just funding, it's focus, priorities, and accountability. On teacher pay, we should absolutely remain competitive so we can recruit and retain great educators. I think we've all agreed on that tonight. But compensation has to be part of a broader strategy that also reduces unnecessary bureaucracy and ensures teachers actually have the planning time and classroom support they need to succeed. The Maryland Blueprint for Maryland's Future brings major new mandatory and spending requirements. But some parts of the blueprints, like stronger teacher development, do have merit. But it also imposes rigid structures and costs that local school systems must manage carefully. My concern is that too much of the funding ends up in administrative compliance instead of directly helping students and teachers in the classroom. My approach is straightforward. First, protect classroom instruction as the top priority. Second, ensure teachers have meaningful planning time and support. Third, bring stronger transparency, love that word, to how education dollars are spent. Parents, voters don't just ask, how much are you spending? They ask, what are we getting for it? That's the standard I would bring to Board of Education. Respect for teachers, focus on students, and demand accountability for every dollar entrusted to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Tyler.
So at this point, we all know that clearly we spend a lot of money in FCPS, right? And taxpayers rightly expect to know that those resources are being used effectively. That's why our slate especially is all about transparency. The conversation shouldn't simply be about spending more or less, it should be about spending wisely. And our slate has discussed plenty of times how a modified zero-based budget would increase that transparency and ensure that the funding goes directly toward measurable outcomes. Jeff is going to take us up on that. He's our expert on all things budget, so he'll be your guy. Direct all questions in. I believe teachers deserve competitive pay, and compensation should remain a priority in the budget. But at the same time, we must ensure that resources are directed towards classrooms rather than excessive administrative growth or programs that don't improve student outcomes. There are alternate ideas to increase teacher pay, like increasing incentive programs for ongoing professional development and education, and possibly even the idea of 12-month contracts. The blueprint does include some worthwhile goals, such as strengthening early childhood education and improving the teacher preparation, but its long-term financial obligations are significant, and the local districts must retain their flexibility in order to manage their own budgets responsibly. As a board member, I would focus on transparency, long-term financial sustainability, and prioritizing spending in areas that directly impacts the students: teacher pay, classroom resources, early literacy programs, and school safety. Strong stewardship builds public trust and ensures that our schools remain financially stable and sustainable for the long term. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Shelley.
Yes, no, I do not think that FCPS is underfunded. 40% of Frederick County residents' property taxes are funneled into the school system. I believe that this is plenty, more than enough, to fund the education of our students. I do believe that teachers are underpaid. They should be paid and valued as much as other professionals in different career fields. Teachers graduate from universities with student loans and are required to pay more for continuing education credentials to keep their certification. I believe every qualified teacher should earn enough to be a homeowner and support themselves in the district which they work. So yes, I believe teachers are underpaid. My views on the budget, I think it's vague, and like most government organizations, includes a lot of waste and redundancy. It's very easy to spend money when it's freely given by others. I do not support the Maryland Blueprint because of cost. We should not throw more money at an already failing system. I believe we can be creative enough to reallocate funds to support the students and the teachers who matter the most and reduce administrative costs. I have never met a teacher who had enough planning time or felt like they were able to stay on top of all of their planning, grading, and various other tasks required by the school. I think giving teachers more time to plan and prepare their lessons will increase the quality of students' education, and if given more time, they can be held to higher expectations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Chloe.
So FCPS is very much underfunded, and I think that anyone spending any amount of time in these spaces can see that very quickly. Where it becomes a pressing issue is the fact that staff haven't gotten raises that keep up with the cost of living, and this needs to be addressed. While teachers are also underpaid, this is much more of an issue for our support staff who keep our schools running day in and day out. Our county sees exponential growth year after year, yet the massive developments that are creating this problem never seem to rake in enough property taxes to allow our schools to keep up. The county council is responsible for allocating funds, and not only could they levy higher taxes on real property, they could also very easily close the gap by pulling from our horribly large police budget and giving it to FCPS. The money is there, our elected officials just need to figure out how to use it.
Thank you very much. Next up is Dean.
Looks like Chloe and I might be some of the outliers here. We are underfunded, and I'm going to address actually, since actually that's our chart, so I'm going to address some of the things here about increasing faster than enrollment. It's not just about enrollment, it's who we enroll, and that's what people miss. Since 2017, we've had a 47% increase in economically challenged students, a 39% increase in special education students, a 70% increase in multilingual students, all of which impact our cost well above inflation and our per pupil allocation. And you also have to take into account, since 2021, we've hired 1,417 employees. The vast majority of those are educators, teachers, special educators, and instructional assistants. And they have all been impacted, and I'm sure every one of you here has too, by the exploding costs of health insurance. That's reflected in that chart. And the chart below this chart, which was clipped out, isn't shown about the vast increase in the population that we're now serving. So it's important to understand that funding schools isn't just about money, it's about investment. And a number of economists have come out and said for every dollar that we invest in public education, we get $1.30 back in our economy. And better yet, for every dollar to pre-K, $16 to $18 back into the economy based on a Nobel Prize economist. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather?
No, I do not believe FCPS is underfunded. Like I said, this year we will be spending over $1 billion on our school system, and 70% of our kids can't pass their college and career readiness tests. What are we paying for, I'd like to ask? And you know that property tax increase that everybody got a year and a half ago by the county executive? 100% of that went to our school budget because our Board of Ed has misallocated school funds and spent our funds so horrifically. So when it comes to funding, I absolutely support pay increases for teacher and support staff, including bus drivers and mechanics. They deserve to be paid more for their hard work, and I'm fully committed to ensuring they are fully compensated. The reason the budget is so tight and why FCPS has not been able to pay its teachers and staff what they truly deserve is because of the massive growth in the FCPS administration over the past 10 years. Since 2017, FCPS has seen its administrative staff grow by over 20%. That is not teachers. That's not bus mechanics. That's not bus drivers. That's not lunch and recess duty workers. It's not teachers' aides, special ed aides, no. It's administrators. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, Maria?
Thank you. Okay, maybe it's the question of underfunded versus overfunded. I think I will probably be on the underfunded group here. Costs have risen tremendously. How many of us are paying higher rent? How many of us are paying higher at the grocery store? How many of us have seen the price of our houses increase by how many hundred? We know this, we see this, and the costs are, and the number of children coming in are not going down, but it's going up. So that I think is a critical consideration. In that sense, but the real question, rather than just putting underfunded versus overfunded, is are we investing wisely? And that's, I think, the main question we should be asking ourselves. I believe strong schools require real investment, and I also believe it's important to be responsible with taxpayer funding. My priority will be to protect spending closest to the classroom, strong teacher and staff, instructional materials, special education, which is very expensive, and the service students and families rely on every day. I would also want us to regularly examine spending further from direct instruction to make sure resources are being wisely and that ultimately are benefiting our students. On compensation, I think the key issue is whether FCPS is competitive enough to recruit and retain strong educators and staff in this region, which we live in an expensive region. And if we want excellent schools, we need to retain high caliber educators. And I didn't get to the blueprint, but just to note, it's a state law. We can think what we want about it. We have to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next question is about parental rights. The Supreme Court has consistently upheld the rights of parents. The child is not the mere creature of the state. Those who nurture him and direct his destiny have the right, coupled with the high duty, to recognize and prepare him for additional obligations. Recently, the phrase parental rights has been reframed by some from its classical definition to a new, more polarizing definition. Their idea is that parental rights is a cover phrase for a far right-wing agenda. Which definition of parental rights do you believe in? What areas do you think that FCPS is doing well or not so well in terms of parental rights? And this time we are starting with Jeff.
Thank you. So when people ask me what I mean by parental rights, and I spoke to this last evening at the Board of Education meeting, I think we should start with the definition most families already understand. Parents are the primary stakeholders in their child's education. Parents. Schools are incredibly important partners, but they are partners with parents, not replacements for parents. To me, parental rights comes down to 3 simple expectations. Again, transparency, you've heard that over and over. Notification and respect. Parents should know what their children are being taught. They should be notified about significant issues affecting their child, and their role in raising that child should always be respected. Now, to be fair, Frederick County Public Schools does some things well. We've said that a couple times tonight, and all of us have said that. Many teachers communicate regularly with parents. Parent-teacher conferences are strong. Online grade books and communication platforms give families real-time insight in how their children are doing. I think it's kind of cool. Those are positive steps, and we should build on them. But there are also areas where parents feel the system falls short. Too often, families learn about curriculum shifts, sensitive subject matter, or policy changes after the decision has already been made. When parents feel like they're last to know, trust breaks down. People don't just want to be told what the decision is. They want to know their voice mattered before that decision was made. That's why I believe the solution is simple. More transparency earlier in the process. When parents are informed, respected, and invited into the conversation, schools have better outcomes and communities have greater trust. In the end of the day, parental rights are not about politics, they are about partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Tyler.
Well, I feel like we could pretty much copy and paste the same thing here, that I agree that parents are the primary educators of their children. And schools function best when they work in partnership with families. Teachers bring expertise and guidance, but parents ultimately carry the responsibility for raising their children, shaping their values, and being the parent. When schools respect that relationship, trust grows and students benefit. As Jeff said, in Frederick County, we do some things well in this area where teachers communicate with parents regularly, and many schools work hard to build these partnerships. I can personally attest to this, having a child in FCPS now. I get regular updates on my son's behavior and performance, and it's going really well, and I really do appreciate that. But there are areas where trust has been strained. Policies that limit parental awareness of significant issues affecting their children can undermine that trust. For example, Policy 443 allows schools to keep information private from their parents. Like if a child requests a change in a name or a pronoun, a transgender student is staying with the child during an overnight field trip, or playing against their child in a sport, and the list goes on. My goal is to restore a culture of transparency and partnership. Parents should be informed, teachers should feel supported, and schools should remain focused on their core mission to help students learn and grow. When parents and schools work together, the students can succeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up we have Shelley.
Yeah, so I believe the Supreme Court's definition of parental rights is more accurate because children are never owned or creatures of the state. It is a parent's job to love, care for, and guide the upbringing of their children. As for what we are doing well or not so well, from speaking to other parents who have kids in FCPS, it seems like there is a lack of communication between the school administrators, teachers, and parents. They feel like pertinent information is being hidden so as not to cause concern or be held accountable. I've heard a few stories of parents finding out their child was harmed at school, either by another student or staff, and this information was not relayed by the school. I also disagree with components of Policy 443 and 414 that allow the school to keep pertinent information from parents regarding their child's wish to change genders or room with someone of the opposite sex on overnight stays. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Chloe.
So I'll start this one out by saying that the phrase parents' rights is nothing more than a dog whistle used to further the goals of the far right, wrapped in a veneer of legitimacy by claiming that their advocacy or controlling every single aspect of their child's life is somehow an issue of rights. Ultimately, our society must accept the fact that children are people and not property. Youth have agency, and in a just society, they would have a right to privacy and to make their own decisions and keep their school lives separate from their home lives if they so wish. In no sense of the term do I believe in parents' rights. FCPS absolutely needs to offer students more than they are now. For instance, the Liberal Majority School Board approved an amendment last year to Policy 443 as a concession to the far right. The amendment weakens the much-needed protections our county offers to trans and non-binary students, allowing educators to now forcibly out students to potentially abusive family, all under the guise of parents' rights. This is absolutely unacceptable and will not stand for 1 second if I am elected to the board.
Thank you very much. Next up we have Dean.
Thank you. What I'd like to say is this isn't a singular choice. Parents absolutely have a fundamental role in the education of their children. Parents are the first and primary teachers of their children. That principle has been recognized for generations, and I strongly believe schools work best when parents and educators are partners. In Frederick County, we've made real progress in transparency and communication. Parents have access to curriculum materials online. They can connect with teachers and principals. Organizations like our PTAs and advisory committees give families meaningful ways to be involved in their schools. That said, we should always be looking for ways to improve communication and make sure that families feel heard and respected. That's one of the reasons why 2.5 years ago I introduced community listening sessions as an idea to broaden our connection with our community. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago at Tuscarora High School, we had nearly 100 community members turn out. For me, the goal was not to turn parents and schools into opposing sides. The goal was partnership. When parents are engaged, educators are supported, and students have the opportunity to learn in safe and welcoming environments. When we focus on partnership, our schools and our students are stronger.
Thank you very much. Next up we have Heather.
I strongly believe in the classical definition of parental rights, which has been upheld by the Supreme Court for nearly a century. Parents, not the government, are the primary guides of their children's education, values, and upbringing. But FCPS, current Board of Education, does not believe in parental rights. They have trampled on parental rights. They have said that it's okay to keep secrets from parents. They actually said that you can't tell parents certain things to staff. They said that if I was a parent, I would know what was going on with my child, and I wouldn't need the school to tell me what's going on with my child. But when your children were in school, teachers didn't keep secrets from parents, and they didn't let boys go on overnight stays with girls. And when you go to the Board of Education building, their bathrooms say men and women. But in the new elementary school at Valley in Jefferson, it says student. We have some major problems. We had a special education assistant that was hired under the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging policies that this board encourages, and he hurt children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up we have Maria.
Great, thank you very much. I'm a parent. I'm a proud FCPS parent, and I love being a parent. I believe parents are child's first and most enduring teacher, and schools should be strong parents with families. For me, parental rights mean parents should be respected, informed, and treated as real partners in their children's education. That should be a basic principle in a healthy school system. I also do not see this as an either-or question between parents and schools. Parents bring values, context, day-to-day guidance, and deep knowledge of their children, and also deep love, I have to say. FCPS brings professional instruction, student support, and the structure of a public education system. Students do best when these two structures, parents and school, work together in partnership. I think FCPS is doing many things well, and I also think there is room for improvement. let's face it, nothing is perfect in life. At FCPS, our problem is not lack of communication. As an FCPS parent, I actually get a ton of communication. And I have to say, sometimes I feel a little overwhelmed by the amount of communication. So we have a good problem. We have a lot of communication, a lot of information, a website full of resources. Now, my question is how to navigate all of these, and this is one of the priorities that I'll bring as a board member. I will support mainstreaming communication and facilitating navigation for parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Finally, we have Sam.
I'm going to go with door number one, bullet number one. Parents have the high duty. And I think the issue is that children are kind of a captive audience in the school system. And somehow if children have issues, and maybe they have serious issues, schizophrenia, manic depressive, or your gender identity issues, you have a boy and you want to dress as a girl or something like this. I mean, because they're captive in the school system, and somehow, you know, an administrator scored low on their SAT, we should trust that person to deal with these very, very complicated, you know, and very intense issues. It's not just the individual issues, it's the attitude, and it's an indicator of a greater system. What if there's a Muslim or a Hindu, they're not going to eat meat or not going to eat pork, and there's a teacher that says, oh, that's just old-fashioned stuff, and they're interfering with religious framework that they're trying to raise their children or something like that. What other issues? Maybe it's nutrition and you're trying to raise your kids healthy. And then, you know, you can have all kinds of chemicals and high sugar content foods and everything and completely indoctrinate children versus educate children. Things that have nothing to do with education. And any current leadership person on the board that talks out of both ends of their mouth, I mean, that person should lower their head in shame for supporting anything that is even remotely in part of this indication that I've described. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our final question, we are talking about school choice. The Teachers Union opposes the Maryland Boost program to help low-income families attend private schools, federal tax credits to help both public and private students, and educational savings accounts. About 30 states offer some form of state-level private school choice programs. Maryland's charter school law has consistently been ranked by multiple independent organizations as among the weakest in America. What role, if any, do you believe school choice plays in improving education? What changes would you support making to Maryland's school choice laws? And this time we're starting with Tyler.
All right, so right off the jump, what role? A significant one. School choice recognizes an important reality that we all know. Children learn differently. Every child learns differently. And there's no single educational model that works for every family. Public schools will continue to serve the vast majority of students, and strong public schools are essential to a healthy community. But providing families with additional options such as charter schools, scholarship programs, or innovative learning models can expand the opportunities and encourage innovation. I personally have benefited from being homeschooled, private schooled, and attended public school, so I've seen firsthand how the different models can be leveraged to meet the diverse needs of our students. School choice should not be viewed as a threat to public education. Instead, it can be a complement in the traditional schools to help ensure that every student has access to an environment where they can succeed. Ultimately, education works best when families have a meaningful option and schools are encouraged to continuously improve. Our goal should be to expand the opportunity while maintaining a strong, high-quality public education system for Frederick County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next we have Shelley.
I agree. So I believe that allotting a certain amount per child and having that money follow the child wherever they choose to be educated, whether that's public, charter, private, or even homeschool, will create healthy competition and force school improvement so as to remain competitive and desirable. If the only way for a school to get funding is to attract students, they would have to maintain high standards for staff and teachers. Likewise, if a school has a top-rated reputation and attracts many students, it can then hold students and parents accountable and have higher standards for academic achievement.
Thank you very much. Next we have Chloe.
So school choice is another term made to sound legitimate when again, it's simply the attempt of reactionaries at destroying public education and funneling taxpayer money into private and often religious schools. Public schools consistently outrank homeschooled students and private schools when it comes to, well, actually learning anything. Again, school choice programs at their core are nothing but wealth transfers to the detriment of the working class and minority communities especially.
Thank you very much. Next we have Dean.
Thank you. Parents want the best possible education for their children. I respect that families look at a variety of options when making decisions for their students. Public schools serve the entire community. Our schools educate students from every background and provide opportunities ranging from advanced academics to career and technical programs, arts, athletics, and specialized supports. I don't support vouchers, education savings accounts, or tax breaks that direct money away from public schools and towards independent charter schools, private schools, for-profit schools, and religious institutions. And I believe if you honestly do your research with an open mind, I don't believe you'll support this either. You can't possibly research the budget issues around the voucher programs in Arizona, Indiana, Ohio, Texas, and Florida and say that you support fiscal responsibility. You can't look at the enormous fraud in those same states and say you're against fraud, waste, and abuse. What I support is investment in strong academics, supporting great teachers, expanding career and technical pathways, and maintaining programs that meet the diverse needs of our students, including our amazing public charter schools. Public education is the one promise we make to every single child, and we should be strengthening that promise, not quietly redirecting the funding behind it.
Thank you. Next we have Heather.
I strongly believe in school choice and that it plays a critical role in improving education. When parents have options, whether it's private school, charter school, or homeschooling, schools are held accountable. They must perform or risk losing students and funding. This competition breaks up the monopoly that exists in public education and encourages schools to focus on what matters most: academic excellence, safe learning environments, and meeting the needs of every child. In Maryland, I support expanding meaningful school choice options for families. This includes equitable access to scholarships, tax credits, and education savings accounts so families from all backgrounds can participate. I also support reducing bureaucratic barriers that make it difficult for parents to exercise choice. School choice isn't about undermining public schools. It's about empowering parents, encouraging innovation, and holding every school accountable to the families they serve. When families have options, children win, and education improves for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Maria.
Thank you. I mean, that label, school choice, sounds like a great idea. I mean, who doesn't want to have choice, right? I support public school choice when it expands opportunities for students, is fair, and comes with strong accountability. I think families do benefit from having meaningful options, but those options should be designed thoughtfully and in ways that strengthen the public school system rather than fragment it. That is the standard I would use. And one thing in terms of school choice that I want to point is, previously we discussed whether the schools are overfunded, underfunded, et cetera, or saying things are expensive, it's overfunded. How are we going to fund all of this choice that some folks are talking about? I think that's something important to keep in mind. I support strong public education. As a board member, I would provide, I have to say also some of the choices that were put in terms of vouchers, et cetera. As a board member, those are not decisions that a board member makes, so that those are state level laws. So since it's not in the purview of the board, I don't think the question is particularly relevant for board duties. In terms of my role and what I would do in the board is that I would provide oversight insist on academic quality, and keep students at the center. My standard is opportunity, fairness, accountability, and evidence. And in terms of competition, I think you can establish competition within this public school system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Sam.
Sometimes in engineering, it's easy to look at the extremes to see the value of things. Now I'll give you an extreme case. In Baltimore, there are communities where, for religious reasons, the entire community does not use the public school system. And collectively, tens or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars of taxes are paid into the system. Are people saying that you shouldn't, get some sort of dispensation, some sort of compensation back to help pay for your private school system? Are they supposed to be paying for the school system but not using it? Well, obviously, if you're paying taxes, you deserve to have something for it. I mean, maybe there's some sort of formula, sort of like the tax code. If you have so many children, it should be in your compensation. If you want to send them to private school, it could be inversely proportional to the number of children and proportional to the taxes. Naturally, people involved in the public school system now have sort of a negative view of private schools. I'm definitely in favor of deferred savings income accounts and that sort of thing. Obviously, education is a noble cause. If there's anything that deserves to be tax deferred, it's education savings account. As far as charter schools, it's part of Maryland, and the school system does exercise some dominion over the charter schools. But at the end of the day, we don't get involved in their charter. The charter schools determine their charter. So I think that while it's important to have opinions and so forth and to be involved in it as much as we can, it's sort of a somewhat of a distraction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have Jeff.
Thank you. So school choice is very important to us. We have 3 children. One graduated from private school here in the county, and 2 initially went there, and then they transferred to public school. So we've seen both sides, and certainly from my perspective, the goal of school choice is not to weaken public education, it's to strengthen it. FCPS does many things well. I've said that several times tonight. I want to make sure that's heard. And I want our public schools to be the first choice for families, but the reality is that different students learn differently. Some thrive in traditional classrooms, others in career tech programs, charter environments, or specialized academies. A healthy education system recognizes that diversity and allows families to find the right fit. Again, families, that means parents find the right fit. Maryland school choice laws are currently very restrictive, particularly when it comes to charter schools and cross-district enrollment. I would support carefully expanding high-quality public charter options with clear academic accountability and strong transparency for parents. I would also support greater flexibility for specialized programs like STEM academies, trades, and career pathways so students can pursue the education that best prepares them for their future. And here's the key principle. Choice should empower parents while maintaining strong standards. If a school receives public dollars, it should deliver measurable academic results and operate with full transparency. It's often said that people respond strongly to the phrase, parents deserve a voice. School choice done responsibly is simply that principle in action. It's about giving families a voice, creating innovation inside the system, and ensuring that every child, not just those who happen to live in the right zip code, have access to great education.
Thank you very much. We're going to finish up with closing statements from each candidate. The question is, what would you like to say about yourself, your campaign, or your positions? We're going to continue in the order that we've been going in. So first up, we will have Shelley Potter.
All right, so I am a veteran educator. I spent 15 years in the school system, both in the United States and abroad. I taught in Montgomery County, Washington, D.C., the United Arab Emirates, and Oman. In 2015, when I left the United States, I was working in Montgomery County, which is a much more progressive county than Frederick. So I thought, and there was no such thing as gender ideology in 2015. So I went abroad, and I came home in 2020 and taught in DC, and what I saw was shocking. That I felt like the standards were higher in the Middle East, where kids were all second language learners. These kids couldn't read or write, they couldn't do math, And what I really saw was we weren't allowed to teach them the skills that they needed to be successful. We were focusing on racial oppression and different ideologies. We were making these children angry, but not teaching them phonics. And I come up here to Frederick, and it seems like it's even worse. Right now, there's a test, an international test called the PISA test, which is a standardized test that countries choose to enroll in. And right now, the last one, there was 81 countries that were enrolled in this test. I think all the students were 15 years old, so 10th grade. And we scored 33 out of 81 in English. Yet, we spend more than any other country per student for education. I find this embarrassing. I really do. I find it embarrassing in English. So there are many developing countries above us. So the reason why that I'm running for the school board is because I feel like we need to return to academics, leave the ideology at home. We're not teaching the Quran in school. We're not teaching Hinduism in school, and I don't believe that we should be teaching gender ideology, have any books that have sex in school beyond 9th grade biology. So that's why I'm running. Wish me good luck.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Chloe Celeste.
Just want to say thank you all for listening to me tonight. I know that running for office at the age I am is a little unusual, and I know that I'll have to work twice as hard to be taken seriously, but I decided to take this on because I felt as though I had no choice but to run, because I really do deeply care about the lives of everyday FCPS students, and it seemed that no other candidate could offer the same perspective. I'm coming from a very unique situation in that I have the resources to make this campaign. Frederick County needs someone who legitimately holds the interests of our youth, and I intend to fill that one.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Dean Rose.
Thank you, everyone. Over the course of tonight's discussion, we've talked about academics, teachers, budgets, parental rights, and school choice. Those are all important conversations, but I believe they point to a bigger truth about public education. I think most of the people in this room actually agree on the most important things. We want strong schools. We want great teachers and children who are prepared for the future. And strong schools are built on partnership. Serving on the Board of Education has taught me something important. Strong schools don't happen by accident. They happen through partnership, responsibility, and leadership. Parents deserve to be engaged and informed in their children's education. Teachers deserve the respect and support needed to do one of the most important jobs in the world. Students deserve classrooms that challenge them and prepare them for the future. And taxpayers deserve responsible stewardship of the resources they provide. Those goals are not in conflict. In fact, they depend on one another. Frederick County Public Schools serves tens of thousands of students every day. Our graduates go on to college, careers, military, and public service. That success happens because educators, families, and communities work together. As a member of the Board of Education, my focus has always been strengthening that partnership, supporting strong academics, supporting our teachers, listening to families, protecting students with safe and respectful learning environments, and making responsible decisions that keep our schools strong for the long term. I believe in schools that bring communities together, not pull them apart. Strong communities build strong schools, and strong schools build the future of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Heather Fletcher.
Well, that's a tough speech to follow. I agree with a lot of what you said, Dean, but I know what's really been happening behind the smoke and mirrors of the school you work for instead of the school you protect us from. What happens is that diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is prioritized over a curriculum that is promoting academic excellence. We have spent millions and millions of dollars replacing a curriculum for a subpar curriculum that they knew would be subpar because the people that make the curriculum, the publishers, they didn't really want to get into this realm. They were afraid. So there was a very small amount of publishers that got into the gender ideology realm, and you would only have a small pool of curriculum to choose from. And they said, you know what, that's okay. We're going to pay for that. We know it's subpar. We know it's going to harm our children, and we're going to do it anyway. Another thing that they're doing is social emotional learning when our kids cannot add, subtract, they can't read, they can't write. They put Chromebooks in front of them all day with QR codes that are linked to counselors. Parents have no idea about it. 12-year-olds in this state can consent to their own mental health. Parents don't know about it. Secrets are held and kept from the parents. This is done in the dark, and you have trusted adults is their favorite word. You want to trust these adults. They're your new parents. It's driving a wedge between the parents. I don't think you really do foster parental involvement. And I don't think you have our best interests of our kids at heart when you have very obscene books, the most horrific books I've ever read in our school libraries. So anyway, thank you. I'm running for Board of Ed, Heather Fletcher.
Thank you. Next we have Maria Carrasco.
Thank you very much. I'm running for the Frederick Board of Education because I care deeply about the future of our children, our community. My professional background is in public health, research, implementation, and college teaching. I teach at Johns Hopkins. For more than 2 decades, I have helped institutions improve outcomes, use resources responsibly, and serve communities more effectively. I have also taught for many years, and that experience has strengthened my belief that good leadership starts with listening, carefully asking questions, and staying focused on students. I'm also a parent, a volunteer, and a longtime Frederick County resident. About 21% of FCPS students are Latino, and in a pluralistic society, representation matters. I would bring a valuable perspective to the board as someone who is multilingual. I speak Spanish and Portuguese and English. An immigrant. I was originally born and raised in Ecuador, and as someone who understands how important it is for families to feel respected, informed, and able to engage. And in terms of the importance of merit, I do hold 2 masters and a PhD from top 10 institutions in the United States. So hopefully merit will help me win this race. My priorities are clear. Stronger student outcomes, stronger support for educators, stronger partnerships with families, and responsible steward of taxpayers' dollars. I am running to help strengthen a school system that families can trust, educators can thrive in, and students can succeed in. I would be honored to earn your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next we have Sam Rosenblum.
I'm new. I don't claim to be an expert in every issue that will come before the board, but I don't think that should be the goal. The board consists of several people, a bunch of people, and each person brings a certain quality, certain experiences, and that diversity makes the board stronger and makes it smarter. I was exposed to the biggest industries in this earth. Recently completed consulting in Piketon, Ohio, and I know what it takes to be competitive. I have seen the competitive industry in engineering go from one extreme to the other. Who will command the technology leaders of tomorrow? More than likely, they're going to be speaking Chinese. Okay. I make a pledge that I will not accept, if I am blessed and I can serve, I will not accept a single penny. I will donate every part of the salary that is given to charity directly through payroll deduction. We need to think in terms of not necessarily reading and writing and arithmetic, but reading and writing in robotics, reading and writing in electrochemistry, reading and writing in engineering, and math too, reading and writing arithmetic. But that's how I feel, that's what the qualities that I feel that I'm going to bring. And I have experiences that no one else has, and wisdom that no one else has. And I'd like to bring give something back to Maryland. Maryland was very good to me. I was raised in Maryland. My children were raised in Maryland. I graduated from the University of Maryland, and I'd like to do this for Maryland.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Jeff Seidel.
Thank you. So let me back up, Dean. Strong parents build strong families build strong communities. I'm running for the Frederick County Board of Education because I believe something important has been lost in our schools, the central role of parents. When you read the mission and strategic plan of Frederick County Public Schools, the word parent appears only one time. That tells you something about how the system increasingly sees itself. It doesn't need parents. But education works best when parents are not an afterthought and they're partners. If elected, my focus will be simple: parents, excellence, and accountability. First, parents, as we've said, it's been said a couple times tonight, are the primary stakeholder of their children's education. Second, we must restore a relentless focus on academic excellence. Third, the Board of Education must provide real accountability, not just talk about it. Taxpayers invest billions in public education. The question is not simply how much we spend, but whether we are achieving the results, the so what, as I like to call it. The community deserves transparency, clear priorities, and policies that are actually enforced. The campaign is not about ideology, it's about common sense. Parents want safe schools, strong academics, and a school system that listens to them. As I talk to parents around town, I say what's working, and I say what's not working. As I talk to students, I say what's working and what's not working. If all you say is what's working, you never hear about what's not working. At the end of the day, educators is not just about preparing students for college or careers. It's about preparing them to become thoughtful citizens who can contribute to their communities and to our country. One of the most meaningful quotes in my run for BOE has been often attributed to President Abraham Lincoln. The philosophy of the classroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next generation. That keeps me up at night and motivates me to press on to make a difference for parents, students, and teachers. Come join me in this adventure. I am a trusted traveler. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have Tyler Walker.
All right, well, thank you. I want to thank Better Maryland Schools for hosting this forum and for encouraging a thoughtful discussion about the future of education in Frederick County. Now, Chloe brought up ideas of perspective, and I want to bring up the fact that my path to this forum has been shaped by service. I'm a former public school teacher, including here in Frederick County, a father of 3 young children, and an Army officer who has spent more than 15 years in the Army National Guard, including a deployment overseas with NATO. And now I currently serve as the senior platoon trainer for the Maryland Officer Candidate School, where I plan to manage an intensive 1.5-year-long course teaching Army leadership to aspiring officers. Those experiences have taught me something very important. Leadership is about responsibility, accountability, and preparing the next generation. And we've talked about this a lot. Frederick County has many dedicated teachers and excellent schools, but we also face serious challenges. Too many students are struggling with the fundamental academic skills, and teachers are being asked to manage increasingly complex classrooms while navigating constantly changing incentives. And trust between families and the school system has been strained. My campaign is focused on restoring 3 things that every successful system needs: strong academics, safe and orderly classrooms, and a genuine partnership with parents. That means focusing on the fundamentals: reading, writing, math, science, and civics, and robotics. It means supporting teachers so they can spend their time teaching rather than managing chaos. It means increasing visible SROs, enhanced security methods, and promoting active and nutritious lifestyles so our students can be safe and healthy. And it means ensuring that parents remain the respected partners in their children's education. Education should prepare students not only for careers, but for citizenship and leadership. If we work together with that goal in mind, Frederick County can build a school system that serves students, supports teachers, and earns the trust of families across our county. If you want to learn more about this, please see me after. We're having our campaign kickoff tomorrow night. We'd love to see you there, Judge's daughter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want to say a big thank you to all of the candidates who came tonight. We very much appreciate your time and being able to hear all of your different perspectives. And so thank you. And we know that running for board is a big undertaking. So we wish the best of luck to every single one of you.